We are back with the next round of the Startup Battlefield. Please welcome back our judges. Today we will have Sophia Adolfi from Index Ventures, Victor Lazarte from Benchmark, Anna Leva from Pear VC, Shuravin Nurayan from IVP, and Sangeen Zeb from GV. So, ladies and gentlemen, with Anthony Ha from TechCrunch, welcome our judges for Battlefield. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Hello, hello. Welcome to session 3 of the Startup Battlefield. If you didn't make it to any of the sessions yesterday, don't worry. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. So we actually have 200 Startup Battlefield companies here at Disrupt. Don't worry, we're not going to bring them all on stage right now. There are actually 180 of them that are demoing or pitching downstairs at the pitch showcase stage over the 3 days of Disrupt. Here on the Disrupt stage, we have the top 20 companies. Now that represents less than 1% of all the applicants to the Startup Battlefield. So, you know, if we did our job, this should represent the best of the best. In each session, you're going to see 5 companies. They're going to present for 6 minutes, and that presentation will include a live demo, which is always fun, sometimes a little stressful, but that's also part of the fun. Then we'll have 6 minutes of Q&A with our expert judges, who I'm going to introduce in a second. Now, what the judges are focused on is both the viability of the startups and also the potential impact. That impact can be social or financial. From the 20 startups, again, less than 1%, the top 20 startups, we're going to choose 5 finalists, and those finalists will be presenting tomorrow to a whole new set of judges, and they're competing for temporary custody of the Disrupt Cup and for $100,000. Just to be clear, TechCrunch does not charge any fees throughout this process, and we also don't take any equity. So if you have an awesome startup that maybe is launching next year at the next Disrupt, consider applying. So we're going to bring out our first company in just a second, but first I have to introduce our judges. First, we have Sophia Adolfi, who is a partner at Index Ventures, where she backs founders who leverage their unique perspective and personal understanding of a problem to create businesses that lead to behavioral shifts and powerful network effects, reshaping of entire industries, from grocery to e-commerce to financial services to healthcare. Sophia is also one of Index's gaming leads. Next, we have Victor Lazarte, who is a general partner at Benchmark, where he focuses on a variety of investment areas, including AI, gaming, and fintech. Victor co-founded Wildlife Studios in 2010 and built it into one of the largest mobile gaming companies in the world. Next, we have Anna Leva, who leads the go-to-market team at Pear VC with a rich, Anna Leva, who leads the go-to-market team at Pear VC with a rich background in enterprise sales from companies like Vanta, ServiceTitan, and Box. She is passionate about helping early-stage founders build high-performing sales motions. Next, we have Shuravin Narayan, who is a partner at IVP, who invests primarily in enterprise infrastructure and applications built by opinionated founders solving deep technical problems. Prior to IVP, he worked across all phases of startups. He worked across all phases of a startup's life cycle, most recently at Snowflake. Last but not least, we have Sangeen Zeb, who is a general partner at GV, where he focuses on high-growth AI and enterprise investments. Before joining GV in 2021, Sangeen was an investor with Founders Circle Capital. So give it up for all of our awesome judges. Now it is finally time to bring out our first Startup Battlefield company of this session. That company is Hylos. Presenting for Hylos is founder and CEO Elias Stahl.
Hi, I'm Elias Stahl, the co-founder and CEO of Hylos, and we are changing how the world makes. We're building an on-demand, zero-waste future for your favorite brands. Yeah, I know when to go. What makes us human? Language, intelligence, faith, art. Art is not only intrinsically human, it is something we physically need and cannot do without. Right now, design happens in two very separate worlds, the digital and the physical. In the digital world, a revolution is underway. Generative AI allows for sketches, words, even gestures to become beautiful, unreal images almost instantly. While in the physical world, it still takes months and years for a design to become a product on the shelf. Nowhere is this felt more than in footwear, a $400 billion creative industry where it still takes 18 months to go from a design to a product. Right now, designers are designing for spring 2026. This is in a world where we don't even know what next week is going to look like, let alone next month or next year. And because of that delay, brands are spending $20 billion every year making product that they're sending directly to landfill. I'm Elias Stahl, the founder and CEO of Hilos, and we're on a mission to dissolve the barrier between the digital and the physical world so that the speed, the creativity, the efficiency of the digital world becomes tangible in this one. I served in the Israeli Special Forces and went on to build software for Fortune 50 brands like BMW and Caterpillar, where I saw firsthand the pain and tension between selling in the digital while making in the physical. Hilos Interplay is the first no-CAD platform for brands to take their designs and generate 3D files ready to be printed and manufactured at scale. Designers can design however they prefer, be it hand sketching to VR, all the way to Midjourney, and Interplay will generate 3D print files for production. The key is to focus on highly systematized product, like footwear, where we can deploy tool chains that use machine vision to identify and segment the product type and its components, and then generate 3D print files based on our interlocking patented assemblies. This form of on-demand product creation is such high fidelity, like the shoes I'm wearing here on stage, that brands aren't only using it to accelerate product development and sampling, but to move product all the way through to production, making on-demand only after a customer orders, avoiding inventory, overproduction, and waste. With us today, we have Ty DeHaven, one of the most innovative footwear designers in the industry with years across both Converse and Nike. We're going to invite Ty on stage to design a shoe live using Interplay. Let's go to Ty, let's welcome Ty and go to the demo.
Thank you all for having me today. I usually like to start with what I call a ground plane, and what that means is I like to set gravity to the sketch. And on the way down here, it was getting kind of chilly, so I figured I would want to draw maybe a little bit of a house sneaker, a little bit of a mule, and so that is what I am going to do. I'm going to add a little bit of an upper to that midsole. Yeah, let's grab that line. Let's generate what that looks like. Sweet. Let's go with option D. I like that kind of linear language on the midsole. Let's do a little bit of detailing here. Let's add some lines, just accentuate those ribbing, and let's add a window for a little bit of ventilation here. Yeah, let's generate that. Okay. Let's go with A. I like A. Okay, let's do a top-down view. Let's draw a heel. Yeah, I like that. This is kind of where the upper will meet that. There's kind of the toe, bring in a little bit of the vamp. All right, That's kind of showing it. And let's put some asymmetry in here. A little bit of a window vamp there. That's great. All right, let's generate what that might look like. OK, fantastic. Yeah, let's go with A. I like the two windows. Super. Let's see that in 3D. Love it. Let's send that to print. And let's go live to Zoom at Hylos headquarters where we can see that shoe actually being unpacked from a 3D printer.
And if we're selected as a finalist, tomorrow you will see these shoes on stage, on my feet. That is the future we are building, one where designs can become real in your hand the next day. Hylos is an API for the physical world, one that brands need now more than ever. And today, I'm excited to announce a new partnership. Let's go to slides.
Wrap it up.
With one of the largest brands, Steve Madden. Steve Madden is working with Hylos across their portfolio of brands to be able to take their ideas and move them into market faster than ever. And this news breaks now, live, on stage. And it's just the beginning of an on-demand future for footwear. The digital world is going through a revolution. Hylos takes that revolution from the screen to your shelf. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Hylos. Judges, who has a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Great job, Elias. Exciting to see that. It's a two-part question. First is on cost. Can you speak to the affordability of the end product for the consumer? And I'm curious, it looks like you're going through a B2B partnership strategy. Why not go direct to consumer where consumers could design their own footwear and print on demand?
We'll start with costing because this is a big challenge for on-demand. People are used to on-demand being more expensive. Our greatest focus has been on meeting cost parity, not with European production, with East Asian production. And this year, Steve Madden isn't known for high fashion, $300 shoes. They're known for commercial volumes. The partnership with Steve Madden speaks to our ability to now, for this year, compete and be cost competitive with East Asian production at scale, but to do that locally and on demand. When it comes to your second question about how we think about B2B, there was a startup called Shoes to Pray. I don't know if anyone here knows of it, 10 years in Australia, and it was based on consumers designing their own shoes. The problem is that not everyone wants to design their own shoes, and so there was a limited market for that at scale. People want brands and designers as curators, and it's very important that we really allow those brands to launch product at scale faster into market. That, for us, is a much wider change than letting the individual.
I had a question. First off, thank you so much. I was curious about the supply chain and how you think about the scalability of the production as you onboard more brands.
Hylos has three interlocking pieces of moat. One of them, of course, is we have patented new forms of assembly that allow for digital manufacturing at scale. Lower component parts, less labor, the ability to scale that across multiple brands and multiple product lines. The second is our digital tool chain, where we combine the ability to segment and read these designs and generate actual printable files that are manufacturable for footwear. The third is a supply chain, where we have a partner network that can scale from hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands. And the partnerships that we're announcing with Steve Madden and some of the others at the end of this year speak to scale. Because brands aren't doing this for 1 or 2% of their product lines. They're doing it to get to 100% on demand. And the ability to scale locally is key to that. But we don't own our own printers. We have an incredible partner network that scales with us. And brands book out volume on an annual basis to make sure that they have that capacity as needed.
So you don't own the manufacturing, right? And like the suppliers, are they working for other shoe companies? Can you talk a little bit about like these printers, like right now, what are they being used for?
Automotive, aerospace, dental is generally where 3D printing has been successful at scaling. What really was needed to unlock printers for footwear is, one, redeveloping and inventing applications that allow footwear to scale in digital. And the second, jailbreaking the printers. Very close partnerships with HP, BASF, and other technologies have allowed Hylos to achieve costing and scale that no one else rivals in the industry. making this a true on-demand platform for product creation from design to print.
Can you talk a little bit about the design tools you have in the tool chain to make it as seamless as possible? Because I imagine footwear designers are used to a certain set of products and a certain way of working, and this is a pretty fundamentally new way of working. I would love to hear a little bit more about that.
Oh, I mean, there's nothing that could be more true. You can tell a designer based on the tools they use based on their age. So we have James Carnes on our team. He led sustainability, innovation, and design at Adidas for 26 years. He did the Futurecraft lines, the Speed Factory. He walks around with a light table. He does everything by hand. Then you got someone fresh out of SCAD who did the unpack there at Hilos. He does everything in Gravity Sketch. Ultimately, Hilos needs to be interoperable with every design platform. You as a designer already use multiple tools depending on what you want to do. All of those tools can be brought into Hilos. We began with our own development platform, but we also see a huge future in API plugins directly into these other designs. So I think Index is on this stage, right? You've got Viscom as one of your portfolio companies. That's a great plugin opportunity. Gravity Sketch, Figma. We're going to go where the design community already lives and allow them to make that real.
Final quick question.
Why do this? Why are you passionate about shoe design?
A long time ago, a new technology allowed wool mills in England to make apparel a little bit more efficiently, and it kicked off an industrial revolution. Something as benign as wool, something as benign as apparel, was what created industrialization. Footwear is incredibly complex, but highly driven by labor, highly cost-sensitive, and because of the molding and tooling required, driven far from our shores and very inefficiently produced. But reinventing footwear for digital manufacturing at scale will be the thing that spurs that next post-industrial revolution. Footwear is just the toehold in the future of on-demand. And there's a lot of footwear puns, so you got to forgive me. It very naturally lends itself to that.
I think that's a great note to end on. Give it up for Hilos.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so our next company is CTGT. And presenting for CTGT is co-founder and CEO Cyril Gorla.
Hi, I'm Cyril, co-founder and CEO of CTGT. We make software to make advanced AI like LLMs interpretable, especially for critical applications like finance and healthcare.
Hi. Today I'd like to talk to you about how we're opening the black box of AI at CTGT. Our platform empowers companies to rapidly deploy AI 10x faster and eliminate hallucinations in LLMs. First, let's start with a bit of background. AI is really unsustainable. Moore's law is the computing paradigm that has governed basically how much compute increases year over year. So roughly it's supposed to double every 18 months. CPUs have fallen a bit short of that in recent years, but GPUs have sort of helped out a little bit. The problem is AI has had a massive demand, and as you can see, there's quite a large gap there. It's 35x every 18 months. So we need a foundational new approach to AI to really bridge this gap. Moreover, we're seeing legislation come in from different parts of the world, including right here in California with SB 1047, that seeks to legislate what AI does, how it does it, and how it talks about controversial and potentially dangerous topics. Unfortunately, current solutions to give us insight into LLMs are really not adequate. In fact, this method from a leading foundation model provider actually would take more compute to get all the concepts in the model and understand them than it took to train the foundation model, which is in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So this really puts it out of the reach of the vast majority of companies and people who should have insight into what AI is doing. So let's talk a bit about why this matters to us. Trevor and I come from a deep learning background, and we've been immersed in machine learning research for a long time. My connection with this problem is personal. I come from an immigrant family, and my journey in AI really started at 11 when I actually took my mother's college programming course. And I really saw the capacity that AI had to affect massive good and lift people up out of poverty. But I saw the other side of it. By the same virtue, I experienced a lot of issues with things like loan decisions, credit decisions that were basically made by a faceless algorithm, and I had really no recourse, and explanations were not really available. So I wanted to make sure that going forward in my work, these models, as they affect more of our lives, that we actually understand what they're doing. So let's go a bit about how our technology works. This is a traditional deep learning model. These are two classes. You can think of them as a cat and a dog. And the model basically tries to differentiate between these classes. It'll eventually get there, but it's hard to differentiate between those two circles. What we do is we look at it from this perspective, which is much more efficient. And then we can separate those classes, for example, the cat and the dog, much easier. That's how we can get the same performance as deep learning without the cost. So let's switch to our demo. Here's our platform, and let's say we're a financial company, and this chatbot is giving some advice to our customers. Let's ask for some advice. Okay, so what are some good investment strategies? Unfortunately, the model has suggested some dubious things, like Theranos. So let's go ahead and see if we can fix that. Go to model health. Yeah, so this is our hallucination analysis section. And what it's doing in the background is it's using our technology to test thousands, hundreds of thousands of potential queries that are problematic. And you can click any of these in detail to control exactly what happens with the model and see an overview of what's actually been done. So let's go ahead and go back to the chat. Oh, you could go back to the demo. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, back to the chat section. Let's see if that's fixed. Okay, yeah, so this response is more sensible. It talks about real estate now. So let's say you want deeper control of your model, not just eliminating hallucinations, you actually want control over the tone and cadence. For that, we can go to model health, or model steering, excuse me. And here, let's say, let's select our financial knowledge, knowledge base there. Let's just pick a llama model here. And we're gonna ask it to draft a email to shareholders about our Q3 results. Okay, there's an alert there, so let's go ahead and check that. And yeah, there's some risky language in there. So Trevor, why don't we reduce that risk exposure like it recommends? Okay, let's run it again. And yeah, that's better. As market conditions were challenging, our cost reduction initiatives talks about that. So it's exposing us to less risk, saving us from potentially pretty huge penalties. Great. Let's switch back to the slides. Thanks, Trevor. So what does this actually do for our users? Well, we've saved them over 16,000 hours. We've been able to reduce actual model size by 98% because our technology is more efficient, great for deployment on device like mobile. And like you just saw in the demonstration, we're able to eliminate hallucinations by around 80 to 90% in actual deployment. We're really excited by the traction we've seen over the past 3 months when we've actually started positioning this to enterprises. We have 9 enterprise pilots, 3 of which are Fortune 10 companies, and we're converting 2 of them at an estimated ACV around 100K. And as of today, excited to announce that we're backed by YC. So we really think the current deep learning status quo is untenable. We don't think we can just mindlessly throw more compute at these models. We think we need to think about this from the ground up and really go with the principles first perspective to understand what these models do and build them from the ground up to be interpretable and efficient. So if this sounds like something that's of interest to you, scan that code there. That'll go to our website or go to tcrn.ch. Thank you.
All right, thank you, CTGT. Judges.
Great job, Cyril. I'm curious if you can tell us about one of those enterprise customers that's converting. Can you walk us through where you first made contact with them, what the buying process has been like, and why you think, in a sentence, that they're converting?
Yeah, I think there's a deep need for enterprises that are not, the foundation model providers to actually have that missing last mile, right? There are these foundation models that exist, but these companies have different brands, they have different tones of voice, and they have different clientele. So that means that whatever training corpus that these big models use, that may not be appropriate for like a financial use case, a fraud detection use case, depending on your clientele. And so what we're seeing is they really hook us in that last mile layer. And by deploying us there, they're able to either use their own models or API models. And they can really imbue the models with their own tone of voice, how their own agents would talk to their customers. And it really just makes the whole AI deployment more seamless, more personalized, and actually hit their AI strategies internally.
I have a question on the product.
Yes.
And first off, thank you so much for walking us through this.
Yeah.
As the model landscape continues to evolve and models get better, how do you think about the durability of your product?
Yeah, this is something that we think about quite a lot. You know, I think this really harkens back to how people are thinking about AI, right? There's this notion that if we just throw more compute at the problem, it'll sort of fix itself. But there's been very few times, if ever, in human history where just doing the same thing over and over actually leads to meaningful change, right? It actually takes radical reimagining of how we do it. And so I think approaching this from this principles first perspective, actually making sure that the computer science theory from our background is connected with practice rather than just throwing more resources at this problem, I think that's a tried and tested practical method of doing this that'll really help us stay ahead of these advancements. And as I said, like the current state-of-the-art interpretability methods would take massive amounts of compute. So right now, they're just not tenable for the vast majority of companies.
Could you talk a little bit about the departments that you're landing in within an enterprise? I imagine this is useful across a lot of them, but there's probably a few that in particular you're resonating with. Would love to hear about that.
Yeah, it's been really interesting as we hone in our ICP. That's been a very interesting process to sort of see what it resonates with the best. We're seeing a lot of interest with trust and safety teams, product teams. I think it's, there's the actual ML team that does this base model layer, right? They're actually doing the fine tuning and whatnot. But the gatekeepers of the model, so to speak, we're finding it resonates a lot with, right? Because who stands to lose the most from like an AI hallucinating, giving bad advice, doing things that it's not supposed to, right? Or in another tone of voice. Those are really the trust and safety product teams, heads of like VPs of product, trust and safety, things like that. So those are the teams that we're really seeing this product resonate with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Loved the demo. Thought it was amazing.
Thank you.
On the reduction of model size by 98%. Love to know how you guys drive that.
Yeah, so the plain and simple answer is deep learning is not the optimal way to learn. And this is a radical thing, but we actually come from the birthplace of deep learning. Geoffrey Hinton, who I just talked with a while ago, he actually wrote the paper on backprop with Rumelhart in 1996, just at UCSD, a couple minutes away from where we did this research. And so we're very well steeped in the deep learning paradigm. But we don't think that that's really the way to get to true intelligence. And so reducing that model size, that's actually because we've isolated what makes deep learning tick, so to speak. And by doing that, we're able to get the same quality of actual performance without doing the compute. So yeah. Yes.
I'd love to dig deeper on that question.
Yes.
So what makes deep learning tick?
What makes deep learning tick is, well, when you look at, let's say you're differentiating between a cat and a dog, right? What do you think of? You might think of like the whiskers of the cat, right? As a feature, right? So that's what internally your brain uses, right? And so deep learning responsible for a wide variety of advancements in multiple fields, right? Like protein folding, computer vision, natural language processing, right? Wide variety of fields. This is really because it's able to extract these features. Never before has a computing paradigm been able to, like, what sort of model you throw at it, what sort of data you throw at it, like this general neural network structure has been able to learn so much, right? That's really what makes it, what makes it exceptional. So this actual concept of feature learning is really the important part. And work from my lab, it's in a science paper, really has isolated that mechanism. And I worked at UCSD on basically turning that towards like an interpretability angle. How do we actually convert that to something that's useful for enterprises? And this is how it came out of that.
What's been the biggest learnings from the first couple of deployments you guys have done?
I think it's that there's really something missing in that last mile layer. Yeah, I think existing solutions are either you can only do that with APIs. A lot of companies, this is interesting. So a lot of companies we found, no matter how big they are, they actually might prototype on API models like foundation models, but then they use their own internal LLMs because the running cost is quite high of those. So when you move from that, methods that only work on like those providers, you can't use them anymore. And so something like our method that's extensible, interpretable, and basically is modular, you can pick out what you want, that's a real boon for companies that are doing workflows like that.
All right, give it up for CTGT. All right, it is time for our third Battlefield company of this session. That company is Luna. Presenting for Luna is co-founder Jazz Scremby Stothart.
I'm Jazz Scremby Stothart, and I'm one of the co-founders of Luna, the world's first AI-powered health app dedicated to teens. Luna is revolutionizing how teens navigate the complexities of adolescence through our digital health and well-being companion.
This is 12-year-old me. I had low self-esteem. I didn't want to talk about puberty. I just wanted to be normal. Back then, there was little to no health and well-being information to help me throughout adolescence. In fact, I literally relied on magazines because schools didn't teach me this. However, today the issue isn't a lack of information. It's actually misinformation overload. Today, teens are told that they can stop their periods with a shot of lime juice, tagine powder, and salt water. That they shed their skin every month on their period, and that they can lose a whopping 8 pounds in 3 hours by drinking 32 ounces of salt water. Now, obviously, none of this is true. However, these are the latest health trends surfacing on social media, misleading millions of teenagers today. Unfortunately, schools haven't kept up with the pace of change. And parents, no matter how cool you think you are, there are just some things that teens don't want to ask you about. Their go-to places are the internet and social media. Today, more than 10% of girls say that they have a bad mental health day every single day. And over 60% of teen girls spend over 4 hours on their digital devices daily. This is the problem, and we're doing something about it. So enter Luna, an AI-powered health and well-being companion for teens to guide them through adolescence. Everybody goes through puberty, and we help them through it. We're a one-stop shop platform for girls and non-binary teens aged 11 to 18 years old, and we talk about things like mental health, periods, friendships, and more. So how does it work? Enter demo, please. On Luna, teens can access content. So articles, videos, and quizzes, all created by experts. They can also ask an anonymous question and get an expert-backed response. And we have worked with dermatologists, pediatricians, and medical experts to now answer over 50,000 questions that we've had in to date. And we're using this expert data to feed the AI models that are now helping us answer these questions. We've also got a super simple emotion and period tracker, and we're now able to play back health insights to teens and push them personalized recommendations based on how they're using the app. Now, we've also made it very easy for teens to send the link to parents, and we've built a parent layer on top of Luna to help parents manage their teens' subscriptions as well. And we're now building this out with parent content and community too. End the demo. Today, we've had over 100,000 downloads in 160 countries. And some Luna members have logged in every single day for the last 2 years, which is when we launched. And above this, in just 4 weeks, the number of teens reporting an improvement in their body image and their mental health has increased drastically. What we've done is the unthinkable. We've made puberty cool. We've created a brand. We've created a community. We've created a girlhood movement. where teen girls finally feel empowered and excited to learn about their health. Now, there are 600 million teen girls out there globally, which more than doubles when you consider boys, preteens, and their parents too, making this a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. And yes, while there are period apps out there and mental health apps out there, they're adult-centric and they're not holistic in nature. Now, we're currently focused on selling premium memberships and forming paid partnerships with brands who want access to our engaged audience. And we actually just signed a very exciting one with a global sports brand. Now, there's a dual marketing strategy in play. Obviously, we've got to create a hype with teenagers on platforms they're used to, but then also showing the value and the impact to parents too, meaning we're reaching both the members and the payers of the platform. The idea for Luna hatched out of the University of Oxford, where I met my incredible co-founder, Joe. And today, we have an amazing team of 7 with backgrounds in consumer and health. We work with incredible medics in the field of medicine in the UK and have advisors who have exited and scaled businesses and adjacent markets. Now, there is just one major market that's left to unlock, and that is the USA. And let me tell you now, there is no shortage of demand from teenagers literally messaging me daily, telling me how much they want Luna to launch here. So we will be landing here next year, and I'd be interested in talking to anyone who can make an introduction to us or who'd be interested in learning more. We have got the data, we've got the community, and we are already changing the lives of teenage girls globally. Now, just imagine how much more we can do to combat the deepening well-being crisis that exists today. Everybody sitting here knows how much those formative years impact who we become as adults today. Everybody sitting here could have done with a platform like Luna. So let's not just let teens survive teenhood in this digital age. Let's help them thrive through it. Let's give them Luna.
Thank you, Luna. Judges.
Thank you so much. This is a very important topic, and I love the mission.
Thank you.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on the usage you're seeing and the longer-term engagement that you're seeing from the 100,000 downloads you've had so far?
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So teens, like Jazz said, are loving the platform. As you could see on the screenshot, we've got teens who've got logging streaks for over 600 days. So we have many members who joined us 2 years ago that are still logging in every single day. And that's due to the fact that we have gamified puberty, with the logging streaks on the tracker. So yeah, we have over 100,000 downloads, but we have, I say, a monthly active user rate of anywhere between sort of 30 upwards of 50%, depending on the month. So for example, next month coming up, so November, we have a wellbeing challenge which is launching. We did one in February, and our engagement throughout that month was insane. So we're doing another one, and that's what we now have a brand partner who's sponsored it for us.
Can you just, building off of that, tell us a little bit more about how they're engaging? They come to the app, and are they asking a question, or what's their primary driver in the app?
Yeah, and it's really different depending on the teen. Obviously, I'm sure you can imagine, depending on their age and just where they are in their own adolescent journey. So one of the most popular features is definitely the Ask Luna section. So they will often find us online, they'll come in, they'll ask the question. Because they get the expert-backed response, that's the thing that's really popular when they first land on the app. But then we do help them guide them through the rest of the app. So with your answer on Ask Luna, you will be pointed to resources within the content, so the articles, the videos that complement that answer. So then we're sort of signposting them to the Learn section, and then that's when they can see our whole bank of articles and videos. And it's not just a stale bank of sort of articles and videos. We are constantly dropping new content every day. So we will spot trends on social media, on TikTok. As you saw from some of those videos, there are some horrendous trends on there, and we can intervene and spot these trends and actually turn around an article or a video in the same day and sort of debunk that misinformation.
Can you talk a little bit about the team you've put together on the content front? Because it's such a critical part of it. How are you actually getting enough content out there? How are you ensuring it's accurate? How are you ensuring it's trustful? Would love to hear about that.
Yeah, well, we have 2 people who work on content at Luna, also on everything else that comes with running a startup, but they set the strategy, essentially. So, you know, finger on the pulse with trends, but also the foundational stuff with adolescents. And we work with a community of medics and experts. And we basically freelance work with them. Our team will brief out what we need. It will then go through 2 layers of checks, and then it goes back on the platform. Yeah, and like Joe said, we are putting content out daily. This isn't just a library that stays there. Finger on the pulse. It's really important for this community. So
Thanks.
That's it.
I wanted to ask more about the parent features. I'm a parent, and so I'm curious how much visibility you provide to the parents. If the parent can control the child's subscription, but can the parent see the types of questions the child's been asking? Or I'd love to learn more.
So in short, no, the parent can't see the questions that the child is asking, and that's very simply because we want to build trust with this audience. It's anonymous for that reason, so they feel empowered and that they feel that they can ask those questions, which can sometimes be a bit awkward or a bit embarrassing, and you don't want to ask your mum. But what we found with speaking to parents, as we've obviously done lots more and more interviews with them, is that actually they don't want to know the specific questions, but actually having insights into, they can manage the subscription and say, my daughter's 13 years old. Actually, what we can provide is aggregate level. What are 13, 14-year-olds on the platform asking about? What are they thinking about? And we can provide that back to them through the parent app in a way that is not intrusive to their own child, but on an aggregate level. So then that can help them, maybe with conversation starters, but also just helps busy parents, we know how busy parents are, keep abreast of, like we said, some of these quite dangerous trends that we're seeing.
So the main use case for the platform is to get answers to health-related issues, right? And can you talk about in what ways is it better than like your next competitor? So like the users that right now use Luna, if they weren't using Luna, what were they gonna use? Like, is it ChatGPT? And like, in what cases are you guys better and what cases are you guys worse?
Yeah, so I think that's just one use case, the answering of questions. I think the reading of questions and seeing what other people are asking, that community feel, is so important for a team to know they're normal. But as Joe mentioned, the tracking feature as well, understanding your cycle, your moods and emotions, that's also a real key use case as well. And in terms of how that differentiates us from other players, so other players aren't holistic in nature. Other players, mental health specific or period specifically, we've co-created Luna with teenagers, as you can see, and they've told us it's not just that that's worrying us, it's everything to do with adolescence. And so we are holistic, and that's what makes us different. In terms of ChatGPT, that doesn't have the community element on there, and that's what makes Luna so special, to know like you are normal, or you are okay, and you're not the only one thinking this. And that for us is what one of our core USPs is.
All right, give it up. I'm sorry, we're out of time, but give it up for Luna. All right, let's bring out our next startup. That startup is Narada AI. Presenting for Narada AI is co-founder and CEO Dave Park.
My name is Dave Park, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Narada AI, an AI assistant based on new research from UC Berkeley. Narada can plan, orchestrate, and execute complex tasks across your siloed business tools just by chatting with it.
I'm Dave Park, CEO and co-founder of Narada AI, and joining me on stage is my CTO and co-founder, Amir Gholami. And we are here to finally bring the AI revolution to the enterprise. So where exactly is the AI revolution in the enterprise? Manual processes are still costing companies over 20% of their revenue each year. The average knowledge worker deals with 30 different apps. 2.5 hours every single day is wasted just updating internal records. AI tools like ChatGPT are great to help my son write his English paper, but they're not designed to execute complex tasks across your work tools. What we need, what we all need, is for AI to grow up and get a job. We need an assistant like Siri to wake up, get certified on the common business tools, put on a tie, and get to work. To make this a reality, we had to start with an entirely new approach. 2 years ago, when everybody was focused on large language models that generate content like ChatGPT, we started working on large action models that generate actions. And based on new research that we performed at the UC Berkeley AI Lab, we developed a large action model for the enterprise that plans, orchestrates, and executes across your work tools just by chatting with it. And I'm proud to announce that we're coming out of beta testing and launching our first product here at TechCrunch. It's your large action model that works across your work tools that's now a side pane in your browser. There's no configuration, no scripting, and it works completely out of the box. You don't need an engineering degree from Berkeley to use it. Actually, you don't need to spend tons of money getting Accenture to come in and set up the automation. We believe that AI automation should be simple and accessible to everybody in the workplace, regardless of your background. Let me show you Narada in action. One of the first use cases of Narada is to actually understand your business conversations over meetings and email. Got it? It's not showing up.
Are we switching to demo?
Yes. You can actually chat with Narada through the side pane. If you can switch to the demo.
I'm seeing the demo on my computer, so if...
Somebody's coming up.
And what it does is it actually understands your business conversations, takes notes automatically, even understands your email conversations to turn them into action. So here, it actually took notes for me with a customer call that we had recently. Narada generated a summary along with action items, but here's where Narada is unique. It can actually turn these notes into action. So for example, I can tell it to send a thank you email to the customer, recap the next steps from this meeting, ask if they're free for coffee on Monday, and suggest some good coffee shops in Berkeley. Narada then kicks into gear, and it actually orchestrates across your work tools to actually generate the actual action.
I think the internet here is not working.
Looks like the internet is down. It can actually also do one of the most painful things, which I'll show you here in a second. It can actually update CRMs like HubSpot. You can ask it to, for example, run a BANT sales analysis on your meeting. And it'll actually look up what BANT sales analysis means, apply it to my meeting notes, then it'll actually go into my HubSpot, here you'll see in a second, and operate HubSpot as if I'm doing it, going to the right page, clicking on the right buttons, and actually updating HubSpot with a BANT sales analysis of this meeting.
Hotspot, maybe.
Finally, it can also actually execute across my email. If I go into my email, and let's say somebody sends me a meeting request with his Calendly link, one of my biggest pet peeves, it'll actually analyze the email, go into his Calendly link, cross-references his availability with mine, and actually show me times that work for both of us. And if I select a time that I want, it'll actually finish the process by updating a Calendly. So here's, really quickly, one of the examples. Check this out. It actually orchestrates across my tools, checks my calendar availability, goes online to do some research, goes into the meeting notes here in my browser, and puts it all together in an email. And notice that it leaves the last step of reviewing, editing, and hitting the send button up to me. And here, I told it to run a BANT sales analysis, and check this out. It actually goes to find out what BANT means, applies it to the meeting notes in my browser, then this is all happening automatically. It operates HubSpot as if I'm doing it, and populating it with advanced sales analysis. Back to the slides. Here's what's happening under the hood. Narada actually takes complex tasks, breaks it down into many smaller steps that are easier to reason about, plans, orchestrates, and executes it via both API backend function calling, or if APIs are inaccessible, it'll operate it through the front end as if I'm doing it. And Narada knows how to plan, orchestrate, and execute across a fast-growing list of applications, email, Slack, CRM tools, ticketing systems, and every time we teach Narada a new tool, say ServiceNow or Workday, which is on our roadmap, the possible permutations and combinations of workflows that can be spoken into existence explode exponentially. We've been in beta testing, but we already have 5 commercial pilots going. One is actually turning into a PO this week, and actually Red Hat's in contracts and procurement. But at the same time, we're actually forging OEM partnerships with a top 3 AI automation company to embed our large action models within their platform. Cisco has chosen us as an AI hub partner, and we're actually exploring ways to integrate Narada's large action models within their WebEx collaboration and meeting platform. And finally, unlike foundational models like an OpenAI or Anthropic, our models can be deployed fully on-prem to preserve privacy and security. But more importantly, we've got the team to make this happen. I started my first company out of the CS PhD program, turned research into product, bootstrapped it to a $375 million acquisition. This time around, I teamed up with Berkeley, Amir and Kurt Koitzer, who's an AI professor, who led the research behind Narada and presented it at the top AI conferences in the world. And our team has put together an amazing technology, and we've not taken a single dime of VC money to date. That said, this space is too big and important. We're going out for our first price round next month. Finally, it's not about us. It's about you guys. Come talk to us about your most painful workflows. We started this company by doing 1,000 customer calls to understand where the pain was. We want to hear your pain. And actually, if we're fortunate enough to make it to the final round, we'll show you one of the most painful things that people hate to do, expense reports. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Narada AI. Thank you for rolling with the Disrupt Wi-Fi, which can be a little unpredictable. But judges.
Can you tell us, you mentioned you teach Narada a new tool. What is the process of teaching it a new tool? Walk us through that.
Yeah, maybe I can take a stab at that. So we use fine-tuning, parameter-efficient fine-tuning like LoRa. So we have open source models. We create synthetic data. We don't train on customer data at all. So we had actually a paper in ACL where we showed how we can create synthetic data. And we basically perform LoRa updating on one of the open source models. And we basically specialize it into doing a specific thing. So for example, for operating Salesforce, for operating HubSpot, for operating SAP Concur, which is upcoming. Great question.
Your product seems to be able to support a number of different workflows and use cases, and you gave a few examples. In light of that, how are you thinking about prioritizing which verticals and which kinds of customers to go after as you start out?
I could take a first stab at that. We're actually starting with frontline sales and customer support, helping them with their email, calendar, meeting, and CRM workflows. But as Narada learns more tools, SAP, Workday, going deeper into the back office, basically we're able to land and expand into other business units who need real help.
How do you guys think about the competitive landscape?
Great question. So obviously, a lot of platforms and ecosystem vendors are incorporating AI into their platforms. What we found in 1,000 customer calls is that the workflows that are really painful involve many steps and many tools and ecosystems. The AI in Microsoft cannot coordinate and talk to the AI in Google, let alone the AI in Salesforce.com. We're agnostic, orchestrating and planning and executing across all those tools and ecosystems versus just staying within one.
Can I, piggybacking off of that, can you talk a little bit about security? And I'm sure many enterprises would love to customize the tools specific to their, so can you just share how you're navigating that? Yes, I can take a quick stab at that too. So we focus on the brain and the orchestration and planning layer. If, let's say, a big customer said, no, we want to use our own Llama-based custom models for email generation, no problem. You swap in their
LLM, custom LLM, and Narada will orchestrate that. Furthermore, you brought up a very important point. Enterprises will value security and privacy more and more with the advent of AI. Our models, again, can be fully deployed on-prem for our largest customers and partners, which we're doing right now.
When you guys add voice into the application, and how important is that going forward, do you think?
We have it already. You can actually, so instead of typing, you can hit the microphone button and talk to it. And actually, if we make it to the finals, we'll show you a little demo of how you can actually chat with it or even interact with it, have it do tasks over mobile, where it's really painful to do some of these tasks.
Can I ask, does it prompt you? Like if I forgot to follow up with somebody, is it going to remind me rather than me having to go in and ask, hey, you know, debrief this call or update my HubSpot? Will it remind me? You have to do that.
So that is our next step. We're already incorporating proactive AI. So I don't know, sorry we couldn't show you the Calendly link because the internet was down. But when I go into my email, I don't even have to prompt it. It sees that I'm looking at that email with my colleague who sent me his Calendly link. It'll proactively in the side pane show me times that work for both of us versus me prompting it. But that said, imagine now that Narada can incorporate into WebEx, Zoom, all the meeting data. It can look across that data and proactively suggest action items that I've forgotten. If I said, I'll send you the updated term sheet by the end of next week, it'll basically proactively remind me.
Do we have a final quick question? All right, give it up for Narada AI. Okay, we are setting up the stage for a demo from our final startup. Judges, are we all doing good? We liking the startups?
Great, it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, we're just gonna get going in a second. Again, sorry about the spotty Wi-Fi. Maybe some of you are experiencing that too, but we got the demo eventually, so I'm really excited about that. And now we are gonna bring out our final startup in this block. That startup is Salva Health. Presenting for Salva Health is founder and CEO Valentina Agudelo.
My name is Valentina Agudelo. I am the CEO of Salva Health. Our first product, Julieta, is an AI-powered device that provides affordable and accessible early detection of breast cancer, especially for women in underserved communities.
Good morning. I'm Valentina, founder and CEO of Salva Health. We're on a mission to save lives through early disease detection. Our first product, Julieta, is a portable and powered by AI screening device specifically designed for underserved populations. By the way, the shirtless man beside me is intended to be there. No need to call security. Let's go to the demo for a minute. While I present, my partner Andres will be running a full screening for breast anomalies on our volunteer. We will come back to them at the end. Now let's go back to the slides. Breast cancer is the leading cause of death by cancer amongst women worldwide. And this is even more alarming in developing countries. Globally, over 70% of breast cancer-related deaths occur in developing countries. No? And the reason for this is that 60% of cases are of late detection, which unfortunately causes the survival rate to drop from 90% to 30%. Early detection saves lives, yet in many regions, access to screening exams is a luxury due to their high costs and requirements of complex infrastructure and specialized personnel. And even for women that do have physical access, the pain, the discomforts, and the general fear that they endure make it impossible for them to get regular screenings. In Colombia, for example, less than 5% of women undergo regular preventive screenings. And that is where our puzzle at Salva began. If women are not able to reach the exams, then the exams must reach the women. And it is with this objective in mind that we have developed the product Julieta, a portable and painless screening exam that allows us to offer any woman, anywhere, a chance of a timely diagnosis. Our device is a breakthrough in accessibility. It eliminates all current access barriers by offering a radiation-free and painless screening that can be performed anywhere. It is a non-invasive and highly portable device that doesn't require specialized operators because it is powered by AI, and that can run a full screening with results in under 5 minutes, which makes it perfect for rural clinics and community healthcare centers. And it is also cost-effective to produce, which guarantees its profitability and affordability. Over the past 5 years, we've partnered with Sura, one of the largest insurance companies in Latin America. We have been able to screen over 2,300 women in 11 different healthcare centers in 4 cities, and we have achieved an impressive 82% accuracy, which is comparable to traditional screening exams. Our team is our strongest asset. Salva Health is composed of 12 experts, amongst professionals in AI, hardware, software, and business development, as well as a group of a high-level advisory board and allies. Each member contributes specialized knowledge for Julieta's development, from product design to regulatory compliance. We have already filed for patents on our device, and we're waiting for a regulatory approval in Colombia so we can pilot launch in Colombia and Mexico in early 2025. Additionally, we're already working towards FDA approval, which will broaden our markets to including developed countries that can benefit from offering a more comfortable solution at a fraction of the current cost. However, to fully launch, we need funding to finalize the legal and regulatory processes, grow our operations team, and expand production. This will allow us to scale quickly across Latin America and beyond. With our Colombian approval alone, we will be able to reach 6 countries with a market size of over 100 million women. Combined with FDA, we're looking at 17 countries with over 1 billion people population. That's where Julieta's impact comes in. Our business model is designed for scalability. We operate a hardware-as-a-service model, primarily working with insurance companies. This allows us to distribute our devices to healthcare centers without the burden of acquisition costs. We then charge the insurance companies per screening, remaining in control of our devices to guarantee their quality and continuous improvement of our algorithms. This model not only makes breast screening affordable, but also guarantees that Julieta remains accessible for women that need it the most. At Salva, we developed Julieta because we believe that all women deserve the chance to start the battle against breast cancer on time and with dignity. The time is now for innovation in early detection. Now let's go back to the shirtless man. While I was presenting, Julieta was able to run a full screening on our volunteer, including validating for electrode conductivity and successful data transfer. It then uploaded that data to our AI where it was interpreted, and the process finalized with a screening result that has already been securely stored in the patient's profile for his next visit. For the time being, congratulations. You present no significant risk of breast cancer, and you're cleared to go home. We look forward to your next visit in 6 to 12 months. Now let's go back to the slides. Julieta is an opportunity to revolutionize breast cancer detection. It is not just a device. It is a lifeline, a solution to a global problem backed by a rigorous team and a clear path to scale. Join us so we can give all women and men the chance to win the battle against breast cancer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Salva Health. Thank you for rolling with some technical issues on our end. You clearly know your presentation very well. Judges, what questions do we have?
Valentina, congratulations. That was for most memorable demo, as well as a really impressive presentation without your slides. It's really cool to see you innovating in this space. That's so important. I'm curious, with your business model, what incentivizes the insurance companies that you're partnering with to want to drive up screenings if you're charging per screenings?
So that is a very good question. Right now, since breast cancer is one of the prioritized diseases for treatment and for screening worldwide, insurance companies must provide alternatives for screening. Right now, the alternatives are usually mammograms or ultrasounds. Those are extremely expensive screenings to do. we incentivize insurance companies to use Julieta, that is at least a fifth of the current price of a mammogram, to screen the entire population, and then only pass for a mammogram those people that we identify as at risk. If we use this model, let's say if Julieta costs a fifth of what a mammogram costs, which is what we're expecting right now, and we screen 100% of the population with it, the women that we then have to screen with a mammogram will still find a cost efficiency for the insurance company of about 66%. And then if we increase the frequency of Julieta's screenings to a mammogram, let's say we do 1 to 2 screenings, for example, we're looking at still a 40% decrease in costs for the insurance company directly.
What motivated you to build in this space?
That's a great question. The entire project is inspired in 2 of my best friend's moms. They both had cancer, and while we were thinking about a project for university 6 years ago, they were going through treatments, and we decided that we wanted to research it. And when we started looking into breast cancer, we realized that breast cancer mortality is almost ironic. Breast cancer has a survival rate above 90% when it is diagnosed at early stages, yet it is the leading cause of death by cancer in women. What this told us is that breast cancer is not a medical problem anymore. Doctors know how to treat breast cancer if we give them time to do so. This is an operational problem, and it is our responsibility as entrepreneurs to solve it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you talk about your traction numbers? And like healthcare is very different like in the US and in other countries. So a lot of times like the solutions that work here don't work somewhere else, or like it works somewhere else and doesn't work here. I'd love to like hear your thinking about, is the solution like better suited for the US, for outside of the US, or it doesn't matter?
Right, so that's a great question, and it kind of ties into the insurance company question. We do know that the healthcare systems work extremely different in country to country, so we are aware that we have to kind of adopt our business model as we expand. What we have identified right now is that we have one payer, let it be an insurer, a service provider, or the patient itself, and then we distribute the devices to the healthcare centers only to charge per insurance companies. In the US, for example, it would make more sense perhaps not to go through the public line of insurance companies, although that would be our goal, but it is a long-term achievement. We would be looking into maybe private insurers or out-of-pocket payments for patients. In Colombia, for example, because we already have a link with Sura, which is one of the largest insurance companies, we are looking for public insurers directly. And this model with Sura can be expanded across Latin America because they are also, they also have markets in other countries as well.
Can I piggyback
Did
off
that answer the question?
It did. The second part, yes. But how, like, I'd love to like hear about your current traction numbers. Like, what are the things that give you most confidence?
So right now we have screened over 2,300 patients in 11 different healthcare centers in 4 cities in Colombia. This research partnership with Sura allows us to screen women across the country, which is how we have also tested our operations. So we know how to expand, we know how the logistics works, the distribution. We already tested our device in multi-ethnic women and men, so that we can guarantee that the quality of the readings is as efficient. And right now we are looking to expand through pilot programs. We have one committed pilot in Colombia for early 2025 and one in Mexico with 14 different clinics in 3 different cities in Mexico as well.
I was going to piggyback and ask rough timeline on FDA approval, and then for out-of-pocket costs, rough ballpark of what that would be.
Right. So the regulatory approval that we're looking for right now, it's called INVIMA. That's the Colombian regulatory approval. And it is part of the regionally recognized authorities from the Pan-American Health Society. That essentially what it means is that the FDA recognizes the process of validation for efficiency, security, and quality that the INVIMA does when they are giving us their certification. We are looking to receive the final approval of the INVIMA in early so let's say January, February of next year, and we will be submitting those files for the FDA, hopefully getting FDA approval at the end of 2025. In fact, just last week, we got approved in Colombia for medical device manufacturing, which is the first step of that two-step validation in Colombia. All of our clinical trials are already approved, and we're just waiting for commercialization at this point. And in fact, if I can complement that for a minute, the INVIMA regulation alone, because it is one of the regionally recognized authorities, it actually unlocks markets in 6 different countries in Latin America. So just as we get approved for Colombia, we will be approved for Mexico, Chile, Ecuador, Bolivia, and Peru right then, which is why we can do the pilot in both countries at once to validate our expansion strategy, and then have it validated with the partner regulators.
Okay, give it up for Salva Health.
Send us the deck.
So that wraps up session 3 of the Startup Battlefield. The judges are going to follow me backstage. They're going to help us choose some finalists. Before we do that, though, let's have one final round of applause for our awesome Startup Battlefield judges.